Okay, now here's where a template comes into play. So what I want to do is, okay, see the hook scarf right there? Okay, I'm going to line up our hook scarf on that, right on those edges right there. And I have to go down to this end and line it up there and then clamp it like this. And see, what I'm doing is I'm making sure this edge and this edge are lining up, all right? And the same thing down here is I want to make sure this edge, see, it has slight overlap, and up here this edge has the same amount of overlap. So my wood piece is setting right in the center of my template, which it is. Okay, so now I'm going to check it. Fine. And once again, a second clamp and hold it. Okay, now this is the piece I need to cut. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to use a piece of electrical tape here. Okay. Now the reason I'm using this electrical tape is I'll show you in a minute. Okay, now what I want to do is I just want to trim the back edge of this, all right? So I got this scalpel here too, and this is a really fine point scalpel, and I just want to cut this along this edge. That's so I can see when I line it up that I'm going to be hitting wood and not just air. Okay. See, that's what I did. Now let's get back here to my template. And I want to line my template up. I want to line it up back here. Okay, let's see if we could zoom in here and I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, see, I'm lining this thing up here, centering it over my template so I have about the same distance on either side. Just like that. Okay? Okay, let's line that up then. Now what I want to do is I'm lifting this up here a little bit and putting this underneath that one that we just cut. And we're going to line this up like that. Clamp it, because we really don't want anything to move on us. Okay, now let's zoom in on our joinery here. Okay, now I'm lining up this edge right here, and I'm lining up these two edges right here. So I'm going to shift this over just a hair. Okay, that's where I want it. Just like that. So I'm going to take my scalpel and I'm going to cut this right along this edge. Okay. And down here. When we cut this in the vise, this is perfectly 90 degrees, so the top is going to be exactly the same as the bottom. Okay, it's cut. Now let's take it out of there. Okay, here it is. Now let's peel this off. Now it becomes apparent why I'm using this electrical tape. See what it did? It gave me a really sharp, clean edge that I could cut to. So now we got to cut this one to match the other one. Okay, we're back to our vise, and it's the same as before. Now we want to line up this tape edge just like this. So it just disappears right here under the vise. Now this one you have to be pretty critical in lining it up. There she is. Okay, let's clamp it. Now we're going to do the same thing with our razor saw. Okay, and we're going to take this and go ahead and cut it. And the only thing is, got to make sure you keep the razor saw flat. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our cut. Okay, I kind of like this. I want to stop just a hair short because I could trim that corner right there. Okay, well now we got to do the same with this cut right there. Okay, so that's just a matter of slipping this thing down. But you can see this cut is right on the edge of that tape. So same deal here. We just want to move this down like this, just so that that disappears. Let me get this dust off here, okay? Just so it disappears below. Yeah. Right there. Okay. Now I'm just gonna kind of make a cut, not quite all the way. Let's see how far am I in here. Ooh, that's really close. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Okay, now that we're clamped in like this, once again, let's use our X-Acto and just go in here and shave this away like so. Now we got this big piece right here, and you could actually cut it away with the saw. Just go in there and do this. So let me do that. There it goes. Okay, I'm using this smaller vise here because you see the blade goes all the way off the edge, so I can keep it perfectly flat. Because this is now the critical cut, because it has to actually line up with that first one we did. Okay, take it out, and you can see, let's get this little, so see that? We got this little curlies here in the corner, which is no big deal because you just go in there and slice down in both directions and it's out of there. So you see how nice and square and flat it cuts it. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for this one right here. So once again, I'm going to set it up in the vise. Okay, as you can see, we're set up again to take this piece out, and it's the same procedure as this piece, because we're going to just take our knife and go in here and cut it flat with the surface of our vise. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm down to my last few cuts here, so I'm just going to go ahead and smooth this out. See how nice that just rolls off of there? Okay, now this is it. This is my final smoothing. And there we have it. You can actually tell because just by the sound you know you're rubbing against the vise. It's almost like planing it now. And you're taking any high spots off. You see when no more wood comes off, it's done. So let's open this baby up. There we go. And there we have it. A nice square cut. Okay, now I went in there on my sander and I sanded this edge right here. And you can see I'm just a little bit long. Okay, I didn't quite hit the edge of my tape. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel my tape off. Okay, I've taken the tape off now because that's without the tape now we can see the actual wooden edge here and how it fits. So as we slide them together, okay, we have got a tight fit right here, but we're shy here and here. We got little gaps. So to close these gaps, what we have to do is we have to go back to the sander and just nip this edge a little bit more. Okay, so let me do that. Okay, I'm back from the sander, and I nipped that back, this edge right here. So now if we put this together, we have got one perfect fit. Okay, now that I have this hook scarf done, the next one to do is to put this butterfly in place. Once I have this butterfly shaped, then I'm going to fit these two pieces into the butterfly. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do that, and the procedure is exactly the same, using vices, the saw, and my scalpels to shape this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, here's my setup for putting in the butterfly on the other cap rail, and I've got it clamped to that cardboard pattern. So if we zoom in, this is what we've got right here. So what I want to do is I just want to take this butterfly and I'm going to set it right in place like so. Line it up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my my knife here and I'm going to trim around it and get that edge. So once I've cut my edges away and trimmed out my tape, it leaves me with an exact location, exact pattern right here to where to cut those edges. So when I join this whole thing, that'll drop exactly right in there, and it'll go from here and it'll go all along and match my pattern all the way to the end. So now the same procedure is to cut these edges. Okay, for the piece of the cap rail that goes across the stern, this right here, this has an arch to it. Alright, so to make that arch, what I did was I took just a flat piece of wood, okay, the same width that I used for the rest of the cap rail, and I took this and I soaked it in a saucer of water and put it in the microwave for about 4 minutes until the water boiled, and then I let it set about 15 minutes in that boiling water. So while it was still wet and hot, this is what I did. I used this pail right here, and I used this rim to keep this thing lined up. So I took it and I put it against that rim, Then I used a clamp, and I clamped it like that, and then I took it and bent it, okay, and then clamped it again. So, you see what I did? I clamped it right on there, like this. So I let that set overnight until the wood was nice and dry. Then when I took it off, like so, I had my nice arched piece, see? Like so. So now that was going to fit right like that over my stern. Okay?